Welcome to Bartram Gardens. Many things to many people. It's a home for horticulture, the first nationally landmarked landscape, and the oldest surviving botanic garden in North America. It is the Sankopa Community Farm, an ancient riverfront, a conversation on food sovereignty, and a place of untold stories. At its core, it's a public park spanning nearly 50 acres in the Kingsessing section of southwest Philadelphia, offering peace, rest, and connection. They invite you to make this place your own and tell the story of what this land and water can mean to us. I invite you to come and hear what the land and water can tell you about the past. As we approach the historic buildings, you'll notice the orientation is to the river. John Bartram set up a farm, botanical gardens. People came by river from Center City, Philadelphia, and approached the house from the front. The orientation is toward the river, which is what we just walked. Now looking at the buildings, we have coursed ashlar front, stuccoed rubble sides and rear, 4-bay front with 1-story lateral wings, 2.5 stories, gable roof, full height, iconic stone columns. They form a recessed porch, carved stone window trim, center entry room with stairs. As we look around the property, we see that this functioning arboretum, garden, and farm, established literally in the 1720s and 30s, still functions today. We're trying to get a shot of the skyline now to show you just how far we are from the central part of Philadelphia. Colonial American botanist John Bartram founded the garden and his farm in Kingsessing, west of the Schuylkill River and miles outside and south of what were then the borders of Philadelphia. He built a stone house between 1728 and 1731, added a kitchen around 1740, and installed a Palladian-inspired carved facade between 1758 and 1770. The house still stands, as does his original garden, which is circa 1728. We're looking at the back of the house and the adjacent farm properties. The greenhouse is from 1760. Three generations of the Bartram family continued the garden as a premier collection of North American plant species in the world. The current collection contains a wide variety of native and exotic species of woody and other plants. Most were listed in Bartram's 1783 broadside Catalog of American Trees, Shrubs, and Plants, and subsequent editions. 14 acres are the gardens, the oldest preserved botanical garden on the continent. They highlight plants collected and propagated by the Bartram family, beginning with John Bartram and continuing with his sons John Jr., William, and granddaughter Anne. John Bartram and William made many plant collecting journeys, some north almost to Canada, as far south as the Gulf Coast, and as west as the Mississippi River. They returned with native North American plants that were unfamiliar to them and undescribed by European botany, including magnolias, rhododendrons, azaleas, and carnivorous plants. The layout and collections preserved here draw from historical records of the garden, which are studied and interpreted in the spirit of the Bartram family by our gardeners. The gardens Closer to the historic buildings, sometimes referred to as the upper garden, represents the formal display gardens, and the lower garden reflects the plant and animal communities of the North American wilderness. As we survey the properties, we're now coming up on one of the ones from the 1770s and trying to zoom in on that stone indicating such. We then make our way into the central courtyard. Interesting wooden door, very small, very low. And now we're in a courtyard surrounded by buildings. Makes you wonder if there were horses, sheep, chickens running around at the time. The property also has a 3.5-acre community farm, rooted in the experience of the African diaspora. As a spiritually centered farm, Sankofa prioritizes reverence for spirit, human beings, and our relationship to the myriad beings beneath and above the soil. The farm offers over 60 different crops and wild foods for our community's healing and produces over 15,000 pounds of food annually. It follows principles of no-till natural agriculture. One might notice the meadow. The name of the neighborhood, King Sessing, is derived from the Lenape word meaning place where there is a meadow. 17 acres are set aside for meadow. So it's always the right time to experience this land and river. Acres of Bartram's gardens change every day. What will inspire you? Check them out on the website and plan your visit. They'll let you know what plants are in season, what's blooming. They have workshops and events. They feature self-care, arts, gardening, kids' activities, and more. Take a stroll, bring your bike on the Bartram's Mile Trail. Look up what birds you've seen. They'll actually lend you a pair of binoculars to do so. Contact Bartram Gardens to get involved in volunteer activities. Fishing, borrow a rod and tackle at the Welcome Center. Bartram Gardens, well worth the visit. Preserved and still functioning.